Hello everyone, this is Brandon with Portable Technology Solutions, and in this video we're going to give a demonstration on how to perform an inventory scan in PTS CountQwik. This will consist of importing locations and sublocations, as well as inventory items, syncing that information over to our mobile device, where we can then perform an inventory audit and sync that data back over into our cloud. We're going to start off on the PTS CountQwik dashboard, and we're going to head over to the View Locations tab. We're going to click Import. As you can see, these locations have already been entered in my cloud, but if you didn't have a locations set yet, all you can do is just go to your PC's Notes folder, enter the locations and sublocations if you have them. As you can see, we have a folder right here for our locations, so in this instance we will want to open that folder. It's going to ask if our file contains any headers, if we want to select any delimiters, and if we want to remove any empty rows. In this case, the document I have doesn't have headers. For a delimiter, we're going to have it auto detect, and we'll have it remove any empty rows. So now that we proceed, as you can see, it's picked out the locations and the sublocations from that document, and we're just going to want to assign each of these names here to whether it being a location or sublocation. So these are our locations and these are our sublocations. So this one will be set to location, this one to sublocation. From there we can import. You can see it recognizes that the import was complete with no errors and that it processed all 4 rows. Hit OK. And now as you can see, it's added the locations. Now these are duplicates, as you can see, because we've already added these. And in the instance that you want to delete any locations or sublocations, all you need to do is just check off the ones that you highlight here. Click delete. It's going to ask if you are sure that you want to delete these. We'll click OK. Successfully deleted, and now we're reset to the locations that we started with. From there, we can go ahead and move on to creating the audits. So to now begin creating audits, what we'd want to do is from this screen go over to Manage Audits and click on that. And as you see, we don't have anything currently set to active because we need to create our first audit. So we will start with an inventory scan. We will create a new audit. Now, as you can see, it's going to ask for an audit nickname, a location, a sublocation if you have one, and then the type of audit you want to perform between either a full audit or a cycle count. We'll enter our nickname, test audit. These locations should be pre-filled when you work with your technician to set up those locations. So we'll pick our location here as well as our sublocation, and then we want to perform a full audit. So we have that set up. It's going to take us next over to this page where we're going to add our items that we're going to perform the inventory scan on. So as you can see, we are going to click on import. And what we're going to do is drag an Excel sheet of our item list over into the database. So you can see here I have an Excel sheet right here that I'm going to use. You can either double click it or drag and drop. I'll drag and drop here. Get that out of the way. And as you can see, it's going to ask for a few import options that we can select from. It's going to ask if our existing file contains headers. It's going to ask us to select a delimiter, and it's going to ask if we want to remove any empty rows if our data sheet has them. So in this instance, our file does contain headers. We can set the delimiter here to auto detect. It's typically what we'd recommend. And then we'll also have it remove the empty rows. So when that's all filled out, we can hit proceed. And as you can see, it pulled over the items that we had in our item sheet. Now what we need to do is just match the headings from our Excel data sheet with what we wanted to sync to on the cloud. So we're going to just match these up. So item UUID, we'll match that to item UUID, name to item name, UPC to UPC, department to department, category to category, price to price, quantity to expected quantity, and then if it's a field like this, like cost, that doesn't show up in the dropdown and we don't want to import it, we can just click on do not import and it'll cancel out that field when we bring this over. So when everything's filled out and matched up correctly, we can click import. And as you can see, our import was successful. It didn't find any errors, and it processed both rows into the database. So that means that our inventory is added to CountQwik, the cloud, and we can click done as we're done managing the audit. Now we can select it, and we can look at the variance here. So as you can see on this sheet, it's going to show us the UPC with the items and our expected quantity versus what our actual quantity is. Now, since we don't have anything entered at the moment, as you can see, it detects a discrepancy, and it'll show us the variance between our actual quantity and our expected quantity, and it will make the entire column red when those quantities don't match. So to make them match, or say our inventory or our stock room is correct, that these quantities would match in our stock room, we can go make those changes on our mobile device. So what we're going to want to do is go over to our mobile device. We're going to select full inventory scan, and we're going to hit this refresh button next to select location. What that's going to do is sync over the data from the database and put that onto our mobile device. So from here, we're just going to match our location and sublocation. So obviously that's where we're performing the inventory scan. Click on New Scan, and it's going to log in, and it's going to sync those rows over into our mobile device. Now it brings us over to the full inventory scan screen. As you can see, nothing is currently in this column yet, but we're going to fill those out. Now, as you can see, there's an option here of which scan mode we want to use, either auto or manual. Now, auto would be if your stockroom has barcodes and you wanted to quickly breeze through and scan each and every individual barcode and UPC. When you do that and you scan that barcode, each scan will represent a new entry and an individual quantity representation of that item being entered here. If we wanted to go over to manual, as you can see, we can just scan the barcode once and then enter the quantity from there. This is good if you have a very large amount of items that you wanted to enter in and you didn't feel like scanning the barcode over and over and over again to match that quantity. So we can either scan the barcode here, or what we're going to do in this instance, we can search for the item. So when we click on search item, it'll take us over to this page here, and as you can see, it pulled over those items from the database onto the app. So we'll make both of those changes here. We'll say that our stock room has 25 of this item and 20 of this item. So what we're going to do is we'll click on the first item, click on use selected, and as you can see, since we have manual pulled up, we can enter the quantity manually. So we'll select 20, we'll type in 25, hit save, and that change is made there. Now we can go to the second item here that has expected quantity of 20. Click on use selected. Oops, enter 20. Click save. And now we've made the changes that we wanted to make. Now, to sync this change over, we will click review scans. It's going to ask or just have us look over anything. If we wanted to delete a column, we could select it and click delete, but we don't want to in this instance. We've done everything correctly. Click close scan. This is going to close out the current scan for this location and cannot be undone. It's going to ask us if we're sure we want to close this out, and we do. We'll click yes. It's going to log back in, sync that process over to the cloud, and now those changes should reflect in the cloud. And now to see those changes, just click refresh. And now as you can see, both of these are cleared up, and the actual quantities now match the expected quantities. So that means our full inventory scan was successful and has been updated. And if we wanted to, we could click export, and we can export that change and create an Excel sheet from there. And that is completing a full inventory scan.